listening to Talking Tech every Tuesday from 7 on Midlands 103.
AIT lecturer Dennis McCarthy joins us here in studio to talk us through the tablets that are currently on the market and the ones that we're going to have to keep our eyes out for in the coming months. Dennis, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Aisling, very much. When you asked me to take a look at these tablets, and the first thing you see is there's just tablet PCs and then you have tablets.
Okay, so there's something, I know you go into the shops, they all kind of looked a bit similar as well. So what's the difference between the two?
Well, the first is the tablet PC. It was really started back in about 2001 when Microsoft coined that term. And if you ever watch shows like CSI and so on, it's effectively a laptop where you can open up the screen, it has a touch screen, but you can turn the screen 180 degrees around, then close it back again. So you just have a screen, it covers up the keyboard,
okay,
and you can touch away and stuff like that. It has the actual same key features as a normal PC. So it has all processing power and so on. Then last year on the 3rd of April, Apple launched the iPad, and it was a total game changer, but let's be quite honest. It had... When they designed it for media consumption. And this was, look, your web browsing, going on to Google, Facebook, looking at newspapers, listening to radio stations. Unfortunately, yours is not on it yet. Then you've got your email and stuff like that, your photos. Videos are great on it. My kids use my iPad all the time for looking at videos.
It really is. I know it's very functional and useful, but it is a great big toy that's an awful lot of fun to have a play with.
It is a great big toy. Like, for people who don't know what a tablet is or it looks like, think of a child's copybook. It's roughly about that size, maybe a lot smaller, but bigger. Some of the screens can range from 5 inches up to 10 inches. Effectively, what you can watch, it's just a touch screen on it, and it's multi-touch, so there's no keyboard. What you have is a virtual keyboard on the iPad or whatever device you're going to use, and you can press the buttons on it.
Which is something that not everybody's a fan of, the old touch screen. Not everyone has adjusted to the touch screen just yet.
They haven't, no. You have to really look at the touch screen from the keyboard. When you're trying to review different ones or ones you're going to buy, take a look at the touch screen at the keyboard that it offers you, because you mightn't like it and how it moves around on the screen. The keys might be small if you've got big fingers, and this is a small screen trying to use it. So really take a look at the actual virtual keyboard that comes up on the screen for you.
Now, you've got, like we've mentioned, the iPad, the Samsung Galaxy, HP's not so successful one. What's the difference between all of them there, and what's the price of them?
The big difference between it is you've got Apple on one side, which has the iOS, and that is the market leader. Then you've got everybody else, and everybody else uses an operating system called Android, which was made by Google. So why HP died is the fact they used WebOS. It's based on the Palm Pilot. And
the Palm Pilot has died out an awful long time ago.
Died out as well. So effectively, it's just two operating systems competing against each other. So all other competitors are using Android.
Yeah.
And effectively, there's about 18 new products going to come on the market very soon, just with the Android. And there's different ones there.
And then, like, I know the Google, as you've mentioned as well, they've bought out Motorola. They're going to be bringing new products on the line. And then there's going to be Sony. They're entering the market as well. So what are we expecting in the next few months?
Well, Sony are going to bring out this Sony S and Sony P. The Sony S is going to try and rival the actual Galaxy Tab. It's an Android-based tablet. It's also can play PlayStation games in it. So when you're playing it up on the screen, you'll see the controls like your PlayStation controller, virtually. Because Sony's using Android on it, Sony is brilliant at the hardware in the background. So they're good at manufacturing that, and they put the best technology inside it. So that looks really good. It's actually shaped like a wedge, so it fits better in your hand and balances on your hand better.
Okay.
The Sony P then has a larger screen, but it's actually two screens. If you think of your Nintendo DS with your two screens on it and it closes over, this is something similar. But the whole lot of it is actually a screen, and it's actually a tablet.
But it comes down to money now. What kind of money are we talking at the moment?
Comes down to money. If you're thinking about getting, let's start with the iPad 2. There's different ranges you can get. You can just get Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi with 3G. Now, with the 3G, with any one of these products, you can go to your O2s, your Vodafones and so on, you get your pricing products.
Yeah.
And they can range from 500 or 600 down to free, depending on
the package that you're on, yeah.
But if you want to buy this straight out right, the iPad 2 with just 64 gigabit, the top of the range, would cost you around €800. Going down to the smallest range then, be about with Wi-Fi and 3G, which is 16 gigabit, would be about €609. You can then it's cheaper again if you don't have the 3G capability on it. So they can range again from 690 down to about 489.
So if you don't get the 3G, basically you're limited to internet usage in a Wi-Fi zone, either in your house or when you're out and about if you hook up to a Wi-Fi service.
Correct, yes. If you're looking for one as well cheaper on the iPad side, don't go for the iPad 2, maybe go for the original iPad. All you're not getting is these integrated cameras, so you can do Skype on it, and there's also talk time. But the old ones have the 3G as well, and the price range from €500 down to €300, which is a lot cheaper.
Now, I have a desktop, I have my laptop, I have my smartphone. We won't give the brand name away. Why is this going to be the death of the laptop? Are we going to see the laptop die out in the next few years?
I don't think so, no. For people who are just at home, who are just browsing and stuff like that, they're going to buy an iPad or one of these products, these tablets, because they don't need a big processing power for playing big power-hungry games like Crisis or Call of Duty or so on. They don't need the big power, or if you're working in engineering, you need to have the big processing power. Just for browsing home, playing games, watching a video, you don't need it. Okay. You don't need a laptop. But people have to remember as well that the entry prices for laptops are just as cheaper than some of these tablets that are available in the market, and they can do an awful lot more.
Yeah, even I know for us here in the station, the tablets, they're just not, you can't edit audio on them because it's just touch screen, so we don't have them, simple as. So I suppose the laptops do have a little bit more bang for their buck.
They definitely have more bang for their buck. I would say if somebody was looking for a stocking filler for Christmas and something cheap, because we're in a recession
we
at the
are
moment.
Indeed.
The HP touchpad, as we were talking about earlier, it's only lasted 49 days in the market because they used the wrong operating system and they just didn't have enough apps out there. But it still can do your browsing, it can do some games, you can do your email on it, you can watch videos, listen to your music. Originally priced at about €600, you can now get it for about 130 or 145 depending where you go. Now these are flying off the shelves. Most places you go, they're going to say sorry, we're sold out and so on. But if you can find one, it's actually quite a good one to get on the cheap.
Is it something, I know with the operating system, is it hard to get the knack of?
It's not. All these are touchpads. They're all touch screens, so you're just flicking around your finger. For zooming in, you just pinch your fingers. For zoom out, just expand your fingers out. It's all just touching on screen. So if any person
similar to the others, it's just not been as popular.
My 2.5-year-old son started using this.
Okay.
And he can use the iPad. I don't get to use my iPad anymore. And effectively, he plays games on it. The most famous one is Angry Birds.
Yes.
Playing that all the time, or watching films.
Yeah.
Great for going on holidays, because in the airplane the kids can listen to watch a video. As well on holidays, because we mentioned about the Wi-Fi and stuff like that. Many hotspots around Europe. We were in Spain on holidays, and using our iPad, we were able to get our local news at home and read our emails and so on.
And keep people occupied in the back seat on long journeys as well.
It is absolutely fantastic for that. It stops lots of fights in the back seat.
So is it a case now that we're just going to have, in the computer range, you're going to have your desktop, have your laptops, and tablets are here to stay, but they probably won't get rid of the others?
They won't get rid of them. They won't be making as many laptops as they would, because some people who bought a laptop for browsing and so on say, I don't need to buy a laptop anymore. They will buy one of these tablets.
Okay.
So that's where they go from there.
And do you think the price will come down anytime in the near future of the big brands like Samsung and Sony and Apple's?
Well, the prices have come down. Like the iPad I have here was the original iPad. It was about €899.
Okay.
You can get that for $500 now. And think about it, usually every April, Apple launch a new product. So watch out for next April, probably the iPad 3 will come out at that point.
And do you have any idea now what improvements they'll make or what changes to it yet? Have they released anything just
yet?
They
haven't released anything just yet.
They're notorious for keeping tight-lipped about things, aren't they?
They're very notorious for that, yes.
Well, Dennis, I tell you, you've definitely kept us wrapped up there on the iPads. Just on the HP, the one that you'd recommend for the stocking filler, would you know if it's available in the Midlands? Is it something that you won't have to go searching on the internet for?
Well, Carphone Warehouse store them, and they have them for about €130. Argos, they sell the 32 gigabit one for €145. But really go in there quick, because these are flying off.
Quickly.
Because when HP announced that they were going to have the price drop, there was queues in America, and these things just flew off. And I think in Europe in the first month they were hoping to sell hundreds of thousands of these. They sold 12,500, and that was it. So people had stockpiles.
Okay.
So they've been sold. So going from €600 down to 100, 120, 130 euro is a massive drop, so they just fly out. And they're a perfect one because you have your browsing, you have your videos, music and everything.
And if you've got someone at home into their technology, you want to get them started on something.
It is great for that as well, yes. The one to look for, I suppose, I would be looking forward to is the Sony one.
Okay.
It's using Android, because they all have Android, and that's one to look out for because they're pretty good at technology and the hardware they have.
Well, folks, you heard it here first. Keep an eye out for the new Sony tablets. They'll be hitting the shelves in the near future. Dennis McCarthy, thank you very much for joining us in studio this evening. And thanks again to Donata Zanghini and Will Faulkner on sound this evening. We'll be back same time next week. But in the meantime, you can keep in touch with us here on Talking Tech. On Twitter, we're at Talking Tech 103, and by email on talkingtech@midlandsradio.fm.